Hi, I'd like to talk today about Warren Buffett, and the title that I've listed is Buffett's BS, only I try not to use profanity in this recording. I don't know if you're allowed to on YouTube, haven't done it for a while. In any event, Warren Buffett is a cheat, a fraud, and a liar. And the fact is that he's in tight with Obama for some reason. I suspect one of his companies in his Berkshire Hathaway portfolio is either a green jobs company or in some way can profit from Obama. The reason I say that is that Warren keeps talking about fair share of taxes. Everybody should pay their fair share. Well, I started out my working life as a public accountant. Then I went into private accounting. I worked for several firms. I've owned my own businesses, and I retired. During that time, I met a lot of people who use a lot of tricks in their business. The IRS code, I forget how many pages it is, it changes every week, depending on any court case that may be settled during that time. I found way back when you don't have to memorize every law in the book, but you have to know where to look for things. A good accounting firm would advise their clients, such as Warren Buffett, that the best way to avoid paying any taxes is A, to have one holding company, Berkshire Hathaway, and Berkshire Hathaway buys up all these other companies that Warren Buffett owns. They're all under one name, Berkshire Hathaway. What he has done is what I would advise someone to do who wanted to cheat on their taxes legally. And that is, Warren has two classes of stock in Berkshire Hathaway. One is about, I forget the amount now, it's $30 or $40 a share, Class B. It just had a 50-to-1 split to keep the price low, but it does not pay dividends. The Class A stock does pay dividends, and Warren owns a bushel basket of that, you can bet your butt. The last price I saw for Berkshire Hathaway stock, Warren Buffett, per share, one share, was over $105,000. So what Warren's done is he's gamed the system. It's not legal, but it's enough to piss you off when somebody does it, and then have the audacity and the balls to come out and say he doesn't pay as much taxes as someone who works for him. The fact is, Warren's accountants, and probably Warren had to approve it, they set his business up so it wouldn't pay any taxes. He also has some type of a charitable, I don't know what it's called. I heard the name the other night. It's not a trust fund, but it's a charitable thing that he controls. His dividends that he gets, he doesn't get a salary. He doesn't take a salary. Therefore, he pays no Social Security taxes, no state taxes, no federal taxes, no Medicare taxes, no nothing. Nothing, zero, zip. Instead, he takes dividends from his stock. He takes that money and he gives it to his charitable, whatever it's called, and takes it as a write-off on his income taxes against the dividends. He winds up paying almost no taxes at all. General Electric, the guy who's got his nose stuck up Obama's butt, to find new jobs in the United States, and who's in charge of GE and just opened a plant over in China to build airplanes and let the Chinese see all the technology that we have for our fighter planes. Guess who that's going to be used on at some point in time? Jeffrey Immelt. When he took over GE, the stock was more than double what it's worth today. Why hadn't he been fired? Because he put people on the board of directors that were his friends, and they're the only ones that can fire him, unless the stockholders rebel in mass and force a vote. Then they could get rid of him. But he is the head guy, and he's run the place into the ground, but he's still making a lot of money. Last year, they made $8 billion and paid zero tax because of all the loopholes and little gimmicks that he can find. I can't blame him. I'd do my best to keep the taxes down that my company had to pay. And the fact is, a small business today, my advice would be, don't even think about starting a small business unless you're willing to be dishonest. And if you're an honest person, you will fail within your first year. I don't care how much money you have to invest. You're going to fail within your first year. The government is against you. Regulations, rules. There's more ropes tied around the little guy, meaning a mid-sized store, mid-sized company, 100 people working for it. They have more paperwork to fill out than a company like GE has. Why? Because GE spreads around a lot of money come election time, and they get exempted from a lot of things. They have laws passed that benefit them. They're not the only company that does this. Warren Buffett, I'm sure, he's got his hand on his wallet for old Obama to give him a lot of money. But what really makes me angry is that when Warren Buffett is out there and keeps talking about this woman that works for him and pays more taxes than he does, it's not what he's saying. In plain English, she pays a higher percent of taxes than what Warren gets away with. And Warren gets away with it by being what a lot of people would say sneaky. As I said, he doesn't take a salary. Therefore, he pays nothing into the Social Security. He would pay the top rate if he took a salary. Oh no, he doesn't pay anything. He pays no taxes at all. And the dividends go into the tax-exempt company or thing that he's in charge of. He pays himself from that. And that's exempt from taxes. And he's got the nerve to come out and tell you and me that we need to pay our fair share and that the millionaires need to pay more money. Well, guess what? The millionaires are going to game the system as hard as they can. And I don't blame them a bit. Neither do you. If you win the lottery for $1 million and you're all happy as a clam, where do you get hit with your tax bill? You win a contest and you win a new car. You're happy as a clam that you won a new car. Whatever that car is worth to the dealer, $25,000, $35,000, at the end of the year, you're going to get a little piece of paper called a 1099. And that's going to be, you've got to pay taxes to the federal and state government on the value of that car you won, and you can't sell it for the price they put on it because it's more than you pay for it to begin with. So the little guy doesn't have a chance. A big company, they find a way to write the car off. They give it away as a contribution to some church or some group, and then they take the $30,000 as a write-off on their income taxes. Wouldn't pay any taxes on the car. They don't need it. The little guy can't take advantage of any of the gimmicks that are in the tax code And they've been put there for like the last 45, 50 years to people that had money to pass around to the politicians. And the politicians, I'm sick and tired of all of them in Washington. I asked Heritage if they would compile a list A to Z of the senators and the members of the House and how much money they're worth, how old they are, how long they've worked in government, and how much they make a year. Total money. Now, from what I hear, maybe I'm wrong, but from what I heard, Michelle Obama, who's telling everybody that they ought to be out there eating grass and saving money and plant your own lettuce, I heard she spent, in 2.5 years, she spent $10 million traveling around the world with her and all her friends. She thinks she's Oprah Winfrey, and she is, at our expense. Your money and mine are going to pay old Michelle to take all her friends with her and travel around the world. I have one question for the Obama family. What about your stepbrother George, living in Kenya in a hut, making $12 a year? You visit him and you wouldn't even pull a $20 bill out of your pocket and give it to the guy. So what kind of family man are you? Are you as much a liar as Immelt and our old buddy Warren Buffett? These guys are making a ton of money and they're using the tax code to hide it because they can. And there's no way there's ever going to be a fair tax imposed on millionaires as long as we have the tax system with the IRS that we have now. The only way to guarantee that everybody pays the same tax would be to put a sales tax on everything and do away with the income tax. That way the little guy, when he's out buying a car, will pay the same percentage of tax as the fat cat has to pay when he buys his jet plane or his boat. Speaking of boats, I got to tell you, John Kerry, who's part of this committee that's going to save the money by cutting back on spending, Kerry had a yacht that he had registered in Rhode Island to keep from paying $70,000 in taxes to the state of Massachusetts, where he lives and where he's the senator of. He gamed the system, but he got caught. What did he do? What politicians always do. He lied about it. Oh, the boat's been there for repairs. Well, when somebody checked, they said there hadn't been anybody near that boat at all. It's in here for storage. It's being stored here. Now, when a guy that's married to the heir of the Hines family and has a gazillion dollars, and he's too freaking cheap to spend 70 grand, which to him and his wife is pocket change, to pay taxes, he's cheating to avoid taxes. Now, what chance do you and I have? What chance does a small businessman have when the IRS keeps putting rules and rules and rules where you can't win? It costs you more to do your paperwork, more to file different returns and keep track of things, but you dare not ask whether the person is an illegal immigrant or not. Oh, you go to jail for that. And if he happens to be Muslim or he happens to have dark skin, if you ask a question, you're a racist. So who's playing the game? The politicians are playing the game, and guess what? We're the targets. I'm tired of hearing Warren Buffett, and nobody's calling him out on it. And they should. They should say, Warren, go join Jimmy Carter and go to some island and shut the hell up, because I'm tired of hearing you lying about the woman that works for you pays more taxes than you. Why don't you give her a raise in pay? You're that goddamn cheap. Give her some more money. And stop lying about the fact because you're cheating on your taxes legally, you're getting away with murder while everybody else has got to pay. So if you want to be fair, take your nose out of Obama's butt, because I know you're doing it for some purpose. You're a sneaky bugger, buddy. You're a sneaky bugger, and you wouldn't be up there with old Obama for any other reason, just like Jeffrey Immelt. He's right up his ass. And why? Why? Because he got the green jobs. He's in charge of finding jobs for people in the United States. What's he do? He's going to build a new factory in China. Yeah, let's put him in charge of finding jobs for the average American. And how about the unions? When the hell did the unions become president of the United States? Oh, that's what Obama used to do. He was an organizer for the unions. He was an organizer for SEIU and Acorn and all these companies. And they're trying to tell the state of South Carolina that Boeing can't build a factory there and hire 1,000 people at good money. And he shut down the oil business all along the Gulf Coast. Won't let us drill for oil and gas in Alaska or anywhere else in the United States. You know how many people can get good money? That's good money. It's hard work. You bust your butt, but it's good money. Why don't you ask Todd Palin how much money he was making on a rig up there in Alaska? It's minus 50 degrees. Those guys make a ton of money. It's hard work, it's dangerous, but man, no one's going to hand it to you on a platter. And I'm tired of hearing about Buffett. I'm tired of hearing from the politicians. All they do is lie to you. Obama wants to raise your taxes so bad, he can taste it. And if he does, he's going to ruin the country. He's on that track now. It's time to put a stop to him. I hope you listen to this message, and I hope it gets through to you, because we're running out of time. I'm not going to live to see what happens. I'm too old. But you people that are young, you better stop and think a minute and say, wait a minute, where do I stand in the future? What kind of future am I going to have when this guy's turning the United States into a third world country? It's not a pretty sight, and you better get on the stick and do something about it soon. And I'm totally afraid that we have to wait until November of next year to vote this guy out of office. He can do a lot of mischief in that time, and he's doing it now. And nobody's stopping him. They're not even trying. So, thank you for your time, and pass it along to your friends, because we're in serious trouble.